Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Olga Shalayska, and I represent the Ukrainian partner of the project. Our project, which is NGO Community Building International Bridges. And the project is co-financed by International Visegrad Foundation. So welcome everybody on third skill building session, which is titled Fundraising, Improving Grant Strategies. And I want to present our trainer, independent consultant from North Macedonia, Ibrahim Mehmeti. I will tell a few sentences about Ibrahim, and then he will present himself, and we will start our training. So Ibrahim, he is well known in Balkans as a journalist, as independent analyst. And last more than 10 years, he worked for SDC as National Program Officer. And as people in Macedonia call him, he is founder of Civil Society of Macedonia. And I think that speak a lot for us as civil society representatives. So, Ibrahim, floor is yours. I welcome you in the project, and I'm very curious to hear how we can fundraise even better than before. Please.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Olga. Thank you for inviting me. Hello to everyone. I wish I could see you all in one big room, but now we live in such a world, and practically it's not so bad that we can connect even if we are not physically in the same place. As Olga said, I have been working in the civil society for many years back. I'm one of the pioneers, I would say, not founder, but one of the pioneers, let's say, of the civil society in North Macedonia. And if you read my paper, you understood that at that time when I and my friends started, we didn't know much about civil society, except that we knew the word NGO. That was, and then slowly we developed and discovered many new things. About myself, yes, originally I have been working as a journalist, but most of my career have been linked with civil society. I worked around 15 years in the implementing side, let's say, with international organizations, mostly with Search for Common Ground. Maybe you have heard there is at least one office in Kiev. And then I worked for UN as a communication officer sometime. And then the last 15 years, I worked as a national program officer in the Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation as a national program officer. So I could say that I have experienced both sides of the civil society work. One is fundraising and the other is implementing. If you ask me which one is more difficult, I would have trouble to explain, because I enjoyed both. To work for civil society organizations and to fundraise is not so bad if you are lucky also, but yes, you need some skills. Yeah, let's go back to the papers, because preparing for this meeting, I also recall some interesting points that, in fact, the term of civil society is not totally new. This existed many years back, even in the antiquity, even though they probably didn't do the same work as we are doing now. But it is good to know that we didn't discover the world, but of course we live in different times, and we need to learn new tools and a new way of functioning for the civil society organizations. You maybe read that even Aristotle mentioned civil society, which means that civil society is not some invention of some smart people, but it was simply the need of citizens to do something for their communities. You know that there have been always different kinds of states, different kinds of governments, even from the antiquity. But from this information in this this book of Aristotle Politics, we can see that people always have had a need or some instinct to do something different from the government. And this is the beauty of democracy, of course. And we have seen that this is there have been not let's say continuity of this harmony between the state and civil society, or coexistence, let's say, between these two. There have been interruptions, and we have seen the consequences of this interruption. But it is important to know that this is something that is a need of people, of some people who don't want to be governing, but want to be doing something for their countries. Yeah, there are different definitions. So you can see, I mean, it is like the typical name is a third sector for the civil society. And if you ask different people, you will get different definitions about what civil society means. But that is something to discuss. I can tell you that even in communism, I lived in North Macedonia all my life, let's say, and which was part of Yugoslavia. Even in that communist system, there was kind of organizations which was supposed to be like parallel to the government. It was not really civil society, but people were aware that, or rulers, let's say, were aware that people need some space for themselves where they can do something as a correction to the government. And if you ask me what is civil society, because this session is more about introduction, I don't know how much you know. I might repeat things that you already know, but let's I will give you a short introduction, then I will open the floor for you all to give your comments or your views in different countries. But the point is that that civil society is a necessity, and I can tell you that. But just short history from my own experience in living in the communist country, who happened to have quite heavy conflicts in the 90s. I'm sure that you all know. And then the creation of civil society, and this was not some easy process because we didn't know what it is. And for this, we have to thank international community, people who had goodwill and wanted to help our countries to open some spaces for hope for the citizens, that we can also influence the government policies, which sometimes can be blind or have no let's say a sense for the needs or ambitions of the people. And we are like a corrector. Of course, journalism is almost doing the same thing, but it is still different story. Why we are talking about civil society and what it means? It means that there are some people who want to do something for their society. And who are these people? These people are those who have some so-called social capital, which means you have connections. Of course, you need to have ideas for what you want to do. You have some desires, some own ambitions. Some of us want to protect environment. Some of us want to fight for gender equality. Some others want to fight or to promote tolerance between different ethnic, religious, or whatever communities. Some want to fight against corruption, to improve governance, local or central level, whatever. And then we just want to do it, and we need some tools. And this is the point where we have to go to the concept of organization of civil society, because you can do things even without some real structure. You don't need. It's not necessary to have a structure. You can do things without any structure. You can organize things as a as a citizen. You can organize, I don't know what. I have done myself few things even before I had any idea about what is civil society, and I believe people do it even now. When as we speak, there are people who do something for their environment, for their neighborhood, community, etc., etc. So you need to have something in you, and this is what I really wanted to share with you. And therefore I mentioned a little bit from my own experience, not to talk about myself, but to tell you that to be a member of civil society, you need to have something in yourself, something that you want to do for the community, not to make your own career. If you want to make one career, it's not very good sector. You should choose another sector probably, because civil society is about doing things for the society, for the community, kind of altruism if you want. And then yeah, this altruism is the starting point when you feel that you want to do something. But then next question is how to do things, and how to do things. You need to find other people who have similar or same ideas as you, and then slowly you create some group of people, and then yeah, it is civil society or civil society organization, and then and so on and so on. Olka mentioned in the beginning that I was in the let's say first generation of civil society activists in my country, and it was really very spontaneous. I know that your countries are quite developed in terms of civil society, but we should not forget that civil society is not like a how should I say linear process, because you have new generations. As we speak now, there are young people who would like to do this, and I hope among you there are young people who have not maybe so much experience, or maybe don't know exactly what to do, and they can learn a lot from the experience of other people who have been doing things before. But yeah, you need to have something in you. But then again, as I said, beside the goodwill and your desire to do something, and your social capital, which means you have connections, you have you have a circle of people. Sometimes you need to have circle of people outside your community in order to do something bigger. I will tell you again shortly one example, that my first big project, let's say, was called Bridges for the New Balkans. It was a huge regional project, and we had activities all over the Western Balkans, and between the countries who didn't have even any relation, political relation, say. Some of them were in conflict, some of them were in disputes, some of them are still. To do this project, Bridges for New Balkans, meant that we need to bring people to do something, to find common ground, let's say, because there will always be different opinions, different positions, different interests, but there is at the same time always some common ground. And this project was meant to search for common ground, and that was the name of my organization, Search for Common Ground. It's American based, but it also has office in Brussels. And the point was that I needed to have colleagues, friends from the region, all these countries that you know, Serbia, Montenegro, Kosovo, Albania, Bulgaria, Macedonia, even Greece. And then through these connections, you can create some network, and then you can bring together people to do something for some common ground, some common interest, even if they wouldn't know each other individually. But then you know somebody, then somebody else knows somebody, then you create a bigger network, and then you create platforms for communication. It was media project, therefore the influence was quite significant, I would say. And we had, let's say, top authors, top journalists from all these countries who wrote for the same magazine, we did documentary films, etc., etc. And all this was possible because we had a network of people. And then what you see now, you probably heard about Open Balkan, you hear about this conference now that happened, that countries of the region try to cooperate. They might not think like this, but I am seriously convinced that these projects, not only my project and my organization project, but other projects too, contributed significantly in creating a basis for this communication, for this interaction, let's say, among people who, in the end, brought maybe not a final solution, because you see that we still have lots of problems, but at least there is some progress. Something is going on. People meet, even if they don't agree, but they meet, they discuss, and that gives hope that next meeting will be better. And this is what we can do. We always have to hope, otherwise we will sink in despair, and that is not a solution for anything. Now, going back to reality, to do all these things, and yeah, this project, which was a multi-million project, let's say, because it was hundreds, no, it was 3 million copies of magazines, 30 long documentary films, about 150 short documentary films, lots of conferences. You need some money. You need somebody. Sorry, you need somebody to support you, to you know, to pay for these things. You cannot travel to other countries. You cannot meet people. You cannot print or make films in which you bring people together if you don't have somebody who would like to help you. Now we come to the donors. The donors are very important, and connection between civil society and donors is historical, let's say. In that paper which I sent you, you will find the one, I like that story really, about Mecena, Gaius Mecenus, who lived 68 years before Christ, who was born before Christ, and he died 8 years before Christ. And I know that in East Europe, people use this term. I don't know, in West, I'm not sure if it's used. But Mecena is like a synonym for somebody who helps artists at least. But you can see if 2000 years ago, even artists needed, even now they need. Now we have ministries, and he was, in fact, somehow minister of culture, who helped these artists to publish their poems, to distribute them, etc., etc. Some of them we can see even today. This, thanks to people like this Mr. Gaius Mecenus. And this is a proof that you can do both. Yeah, there are some people who try to do both, but then it creates problems. I don't want to mention examples, but we see in today's life that some multi-millionaires or billionaires try to do something themselves for their own organization, but then it creates some controversy, let's say. If they would ask me, I would say give money to foundations, to independent foundation who will distribute to organization. If you do with your money yourself, that's fine, but still, I think at that time we have good examples of even in antiquity that that these people of goodwill, let's say, could help civil society. And I found even one information that in Poland and in Western Ukraine, lawyers would be called panmecenas, which was very interesting for me to find this information, and that speaks about importance of these donorships. Now, I see the time is running, and I want to leave some time for you to ask questions. Let's talk a little bit about donors now. I'm sure that you already know a lot about donors with your own experience with your organizations, but just to refresh our mind and maybe to discuss a little bit later. So we have individual donors. Yeah, there are private people, individuals who make donations to non-profit organizations. And they are usually people who like your ideas, your philosophy, goals of your organizations, and you know, want to be part of this. I don't know how is the situation in your countries, but I can tell you that in North Macedonia, for example, and in the surrounding countries in the Western Balkans, I don't hear that there are many individuals who really donate to NGOs, but there are some things. I wouldn't say not. And the question is why this is not happening, and then that we can discuss later on. There are reasons for this, of course. There are some reasons. It's not justified, but the reality is such. You cannot make people do it if they don't feel that this is something they would like to do. Of course, the economic situation, financial situation also is a factor in this. Let's not forget that too. Then we have many types of donors, but I will mention just these three who are most, let's say, interesting or present in the civil society sector. Corporate donors, yeah, they are companies who have enough money and want to provide some financial support to non-profit organizations. In some countries, there is a law which is favorable, let's say, somehow favorable, better to say, for companies if they would donate to civil society organizations. But I know that in Macedonia it was not very popular, let's say. I talked to some companies through my work with the Swiss agency when we wanted to stimulate, let's say, companies to donate to NGOs, to local NGOs at least. But that was somehow not working well. They complained about the law, etc., etc. But in general, corporation they're business oriented and they want people to promote them. You know, even if it's some small, let's say, folk dance group, they say, "Oh, would you put our logo on your this old folk clothes," which would look ridiculous, let's say. But this is the reality. And this is one example, but it's not all about it. Of course, there are different reasons, and that at least in the Western Balkans, I don't see it's happening. Maybe it happens in other countries. I'm sure it happens, but not so much in the Western Balkans. And finally, the most popular are government agencies, like the agency where I worked 15 years. Such Swiss Agency for Development Cooperation, and yeah, it is very active in Ukraine. In other countries, in EU countries, I think they are not active. There is some partnership. Yeah, I think in Poland there is also an office, and it is managed by a colleague who works in the same office with me in Skopje. But it is like partnership, something I forgot how it's called. But in general, there is no classical grant giving grant giving schemes, let's say, in EU countries. But these agencies like USAID, Swiss International Development Agency, GSZ, National Endowment for Democracy, which is I think private. They are most important in my interpretation, I would say, for the civil society organizations, because they have the finances comes from government, from the budget of the state, and then there are different layers of decision making, how they reach to the civil society organizations. And I can witness myself that there is a very high degree of independence and non-interference, let's say, in the work of the civil society organizations. And yeah, this is obviously the topic, the type of donors about which we will talk more in the next sessions. There are different. Now the question is how to approach, how to gain trust of the donor organizations. There is one very important point, and that is efficiency and effectiveness of your organization. We'll talk more about this later, but this is the concept. This is relatively new, even for donor organizations, but this is something that is looked upon a lot and very carefully. So efficiency means how do you use the grants? Yeah, you can get once grant, might be lucky, but next time you might not get, and then you say, oh, why you didn't get? Maybe you were not efficient, maybe, which means you didn't utilize the money in the optimum manner, let's say. Now we cannot go into details. I can discuss about this because I've been monitoring hundreds and hundreds of grants for my organization, but you know, the point is that you have to be very careful about how you utilize this money, and of course how you present it later in the reports. And the other thing is effectiveness. Now this looks like almost the same, but it is not the same, because effectiveness means what do you achieve with this money. Sometimes I can tell you examples that we gave grant to organizations, huge grants, 100 and even more thousand Swiss francs or euros, and then you see very little results. And then you give 20, 30,000, and then you see huge results. So this is also very important, how effective you are in achieving the goals that you have set in your application or in the discussion with the donor. So efficiency and effectiveness are very important. And now I'm going into, let's say, recommendations that effectiveness, efficiency is very important for your future development as an NGO. And yes, and it's not a guarantee that if you are efficient and effective that you will get, but in practice you see that it is happening. And I can tell you that this is the best way to go, because we will talk about how to convince donors. Yeah, this is huge, very wide field, let's say. We can talk a lot, and therefore I would give you more space for you to ask questions, because I can talk not, I mean, a lot. I've been, let's say, assessing more than 1,000. No, 1,000 is not much. These applications and approved hundreds, and there are so many different ways how you can present your project. And I hope I can help you if you can give some concrete examples or present concrete problems that you have. So this about effectiveness and efficiency it is also very important for your constituency, meaning people who support you, because most of civil society organizations try to have some supporters, some constituency, not financial supporters, but supporters who follow their activities or participate in their activities, and to have people who will support you without any interest, because they are private people, private citizens. They will come to your, I don't know, protest or actions, to environment cleaning, or I don't know, whatever it is. They need to trust you, that you are doing the right thing, that you are transparent. Transparency is very important in relation with the citizen. They need to be sure that what you tell is true, not that you are telling this for some your benefit of your organization, but that you tell things that are true also for the citizens who are even not engaged in your activity. So yeah, this is really something very important to keep in mind. And here I will stop, and I hope there are questions or comments.
If I may add something, I want to ask a question. Do you have a experience? Because my organization, Studium 6 Foundation from Toruń, we don't really have experience working with, let's say, private donors. We more think of donors as a public institutions, organizations that give grants and funds for our activities. So how do you work with local government representatives who have funds for specific actions? Like next week, we are meeting with representative of the government in our region, and we want to address to him the issues and challenges that we are facing as the CSOs in our region. One of them is that the funds that were supporting our actions were limited and are at the moment, we don't know if they're going to continue that support or not. So how do you advocate and talk with donors, but donors meant as public institutions, local governments, rather than private organizations or corporations, if you have experience doing that? Obviously, in the back of my head, I have all the regulations and all the policies that they have to, that they not always have an influence over them. But how do you build your case? How do you build? Yeah, thank you.
Very important issue. I've been also working a lot with local governments and with civil society. And first, I will tell you from the donor perspective. I think that all donors, not only Swiss agency, but I know that in Macedonia and other countries it's the same, and I don't know exactly how it is in your country, but it could be the same. They try to promote local activism, let's say, organizations who are based in not only the capital, but in the provinces, in the smaller towns. And then the problem with this approach is that there is no funding. They are not visible. It's a local organization. And then we try to motivate first the government, central government, to distribute funds because we have decentralization, but funds are mainly distributed from the central government, to allow for local authorities to have in their budget lines for local organizations. And this is happening, but not as you would expect, because we also have poor, let's say, relatively poor local governments and municipalities, and they have very small funds for civil society, but they do something. They do something. Usually, it's more like service provision, not so much supporting grants for your own activities. They have some celebration, day of municipality, or some festivals, festival for food, or wine or grape, or different regions have different tradition, and then they engage the civil society organization and they survive like that. But it is far from what we would like to see as citizens. But also because I worked until last year for Swiss agency, I would say that for donors it's very important. And I know that it's always a struggle. For EU also, they are trying some things, even though they have limited, let's say, competencies, because they work with central government, with local authorities. But yeah, to give you a short answer, it's not so much. It's quite little, and I hope in your country it's better situation.
Well, we just had a change of the government a few months ago, and
Yes,
it's probably that. But one of the issues we're facing now, that the priorities for the local government change without consulting us about those priorities. So, recently, like organizations we work closely with, they receive funds for providing food, provisions for kids during the workshops in the integration center, but they didn't give the funds to run the integration center. So, the argument was, so what? I have sandwiches for the kids. I don't have a place for those kids, and so this is what we have to address.
It takes time, yeah.
It takes time, of course. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, when we talk about these former communist countries, we have to be realistic that there was a break, let's say, in the development. We didn't even have civil society before the break, especially the Western Balkans, because we were under Ottoman Empire, and there was not really a concept of civil society. I don't know how it was in other parts of the Europe. Probably not much better, but might be that there have been something which could be like a nucleus of a civil society, and then that revived in a better historical condition. But in any case, yeah, I said that civil society is not invented when we understood that there is civil society. But again, for us, for our generation, say, especially for, I call it post-Berlin Wall generation, this is like new, like nothing existed before. And so we have to be cautious about this and try to compensate, let's say, for this historical emptiness in the process. Okay, so preparation of project proposal. This is a very tricky issue. Even here in Macedonia, some even big organizations like international organizations, UN organizations, sometimes have difficulties because they also have to apply for funds. They have problem to get through their proposals, and I've been in a situation to discuss because we know each other, let's say, and then I say, look, there's no formula, and I say this to you all, there's no formula about how to prepare a project proposal which will bring you grant. There's not such. But if you have good project proposal, you always can hope for that. And even if you don't get this time, you have better chances next time, because donors will remember your proposal. Sometimes you might not get it simply because there are too many applications with the same topic. It doesn't mean that your application is not good, but sometimes you have such, depends on the calls for application, but sometimes it can be that reason or some other reason which is technical and not so much about the content. In any case, it is important to invest a lot in preparation of the project proposal, but also in communication with donors if you have such opportunity. I don't know. maybe it's more difficult in bigger countries because you are coming from huge countries compared to Macedonia, for example, or even all Balkan countries. And we have, let's say, a very frequent communication and direct communication with donors because this is a small country. In bigger countries, it might not be so easy. And in that case, the preparation of project proposals is very important. Now, there are different expectations, different approaches from different donors. So there's no one fits all, let's say, approach, but you have to know the expectations of the donors. Not all donors have the same focus, let's say, or same expectations from organizations. It also depends on the level of development of the civil society. I can tell you that 30 years ago, you could get easily grant with one application, which today they would not even read to the end. I'm exaggerating just to make it clear. Of course, they will read because it's obligation, but the point is that at that time, donors didn't expect much from our NGOs because it was a beginning of civil society and they were very positively discriminating, let's say. But now expectations are growing rapidly, and that goes hand in hand with the development of civil society. Now we have much more developed organizations. We have young people who are my age when I was 30 years ago, and they are very well educated and can write the proposal. So the standards are increasing. But I can tell you that there are some things that remain constant. One of these constant when you write a project proposal is that those who read your proposal, if they feel that you are very sincere, that the project idea is something which comes from your desire, from your, I don't know, ambitions, from your dreams even, depends on the type of the project, depends on the topic of the project proposal. But yeah, reader, donor, or commission, sometimes donor organizations have selection commissions who are external people who are not part of the civil society even. It might be professor or intellectuals or businessmen even. Depends on the idea or the philosophy of the donor, but these people need to feel that your project is worth to support. Now, there are still some things that are very, I think very important and who always have some weight. And this is your vision and mission. They sound like simple, but this vision and mission are somehow linked with a statement of your organization, why you have an organization. I can tell you that in Macedonia, for example, we had from zero, now we have thousands of organizations. And I know that some other countries have even more than Macedonia. And then it's impossible for any donor organization to support all of them, or even 10%. It's sometimes difficult. And then how to do it? How to make choices for donors? If you have clear vision and mission, meaning what do you want to do, or what do you want to see, or what do you want to see happening in your country or your community, is one. And then next is what is your role in doing this change or building something or whatever it is. So vision and mission are like linked with the philosophy of your organization. I put it as a first, let's say, indicator of possible success. depending how you define it, how good you define it. Or sometimes you can define it very good, but then in the continuation of your project proposal, it might not be very compatible with what you state as a vision and mission. So this is about your organization, but then you have further, you have objectives of a concrete project. So to define project objectives is very, very important. To define them properly is very, very important. And to define them properly means you need a lots of work, really lots of. It looks like maybe simple. Sometimes it can be simple, but usually it is not so simple. And usually you need to invest lots of time in defining the objectives of your system, of your project proposal, because again, later, this project objective need to be reflected in the logical framework, in the lower, let's say, levels of this monitoring objective system. So these things are very important, and yeah, I would like to open the floor for you to talk about this. Or do you have some experience with this? Do you have such statements for your organization, or you don't? If you have, maybe you can give some good example, or not good example, just give an example how it look, and then we can discuss. We can maybe we can do like a small case study, let's say, which would take not so much, but we can do it in few minutes. Is there anybody? Because yeah, I structured this session with some points and then brainstorming session. Brainstorming can be question, comments, whatever you like. So about vision and mission, and let's see, add also objectives of the project proposal. Did you have such issue with your applications, or would you like to learn something?
My name is Ivana. I'm director of here in Poland of Foundation Right to Protection, and we are a Ukrainian organization who launch office here in Poland. So it's a very new experience, yes, because mostly a Polish organization or international organization are working here in Poland, yes, and it's not our main mission, but for us it is very important to help Ukrainians. We call it Ukrainians for Ukrainians. And yes, in Ukraine, our organization is very big, a human rights organization, and we have our mission and objectives and everything else. I can just read it. Our mission is to protect people in situation of conflict, disasters, forced displacement, and migration, and to promote systematic changes aimed at prevention of such a situation. Yes, and in Ukraine we have 9 different directions, yes, of our work and help for internally displaced people in Ukraine, yes. And now we are looking for our place, I can call it for our place in Poland, yes, because we started our project just in on September 2023, yes, and many organizations were working here for 2 years almost, yes, and we need to find our additional value for Poland. And maybe my question is first, maybe you have some advice for this, and other for us it is very important because we don't have grant writer for now. Yes, we are looking for such person for our office in Poland. Yes, how to write correct words for donors. Yes, because I know that we have to look through all requirements that the donor set. Yes, but how to work with this? Maybe some life hacks from you, how to write correctly, that what donors want to read in our application.
You know, donors not always have like expectations, advanced expectation, but it is what is important for you. Let's say better to, from your perspective, is to have logical connection between different points of the project proposal. And yes, you said we don't have a grant writer. It is very, very important, very tricky issue. In my notes, I wrote that best solution is that the staff writes project proposals. But if you don't have in your staff, then you hire somebody who will work with you. Then it's fine. Not the somebody write and then goes to work something else, but should be somebody who stays with you. Then it will be okay. You will have like an investment for the future. Most important, yes. First of all, you have specific situation because you are Ukrainian organization. You say Ukraine for Ukrainians, etc., and you work in Poland. Donors understand this because the situation is such. It is clear that it's difficult for you to work in your country. Not so easy as it is in Poland. So it is different perspective, you know. Now you work with displaced people, and then this to me, what you said, it sounds like you don't have other choice, and your statement is realistic because we know the situation. You know, if you don't have the situation, I would put such a statement. You didn't have conflict, you didn't have this war, and write Ukraine for Ukrainians. I would say, oh, it's what kind of organization is this? But in this case, it is different reading because of the circumstances. So I think it's I couldn't find some points to correct. Of course, if we would be in the same room and we have group work, would be I would could help a little bit more. But like this, what I heard from you, I think you can't do much more. Yes, but most important is that when you start to write project proposal, it should be like floating, not to be jumping. This is very important. And how do you do that? You do that if you have one person who cares for all details from beginning to the end. You can include more people. It's not a problem. You can have other people joining in, but you must have one person who will work with everybody, or at least in the end will make let's say like editing. Now I can tell you from my experience that there have been sometimes reports, for example, not project proposal, even project proposals, of course, but one big organization, they sent me a report which looked really like pieces were just thrown in the report. And then I called them, said, what is this report? I don't understand. What do you want to say? And then they told me that because in the project there are different sections for whom different people are responsible in the organization. They wrote, everybody wrote own piece. And there was no connection between them, and I couldn't follow, I couldn't understand what happened in the project. And I returned them the report and I asked them to write it properly. And this is the same for the project proposals, that when you, this vision and mission is about the organization, but then you have the project. For the project, you have objectives. Objectives, let's say, kind of analogy to the statement, mission statement. What is mission statement for the organization? Project objective is for the specific project. So it is, what is the objective of the project? You have one main objective, and then you have 2, 3 smaller objectives. You ask about recommendation. My recommendation is to write only as much as necessary, not to write everything that you know, but to write only things that are important. You may have data, a lot of data, but you should summarize, and this is a big art, in fact. I can tell you that I was working for Swiss agency, and our report was extremely short, extremely short. You can't believe how short you had to do it. And to do it short, you need huge work. You know, to make a long report, a long proposal is easier than to make it short. But I believe that not only in Swiss agency where I work, but other agencies as well, because I cooperated with others too. They like short and clear and information which are relevant for the topic, not information that are important for you, but relevant for the topic of the project proposal. If your project proposal is displaced people, then you write about displaced people. You don't write about other things that are, you know, for other projects. You can have another project with a different topic. But to be focused, yeah, to be focused on the topic of the project. Like in journalism, I also work as a journalist. If you don't have a title and start to write an article, nobody will understand you in the end. You must have a title first and then go with writing. You can modify the title in the end if you know, see something, but it is like that with objective. If you don't have objective, good, well-defined objective, then the project will always be problematic. And yeah, I can talk a lot, but tell you that objective is very important. Specific objectives, outcomes, outputs are also important. And then if you have a log frame, for example, then log frame is next extremely important, because I can tell you there are donors who read first the log frame, not project document, but log frame. If log frame doesn't make sense, then the project proposal can be like a, you know, like a literature, let's say. I don't want to underestimate anything, but just to make point is that these things are very important. Yeah, in the end, everything will be important, but my point is that you should have a logical flow of thinking, which starts with the objective, and then conclusion, beginning and end should be in harmony. And I think it's really not so hard to do, just you need to be aware about that. I hope I answered your question. I can talk more, but maybe there's somebody else who would like question. If not, I can continue, but let's see. I hope I answered your question.
I can add one thing that here in humanitarian issue we have a super big part which calls need assessment, and
Yes.
Yes, that is exactly, you should prove every statement, some hypothesis, just very, very strict, and I understand that it's impossible for a small organization to hire some because there are specialists on the market who work on need assessment. But even for big organization, it's a big deal to find exactly a specialist who can provide such information. And what it's mean only one thing, that we should read news, follow news, look state data, refresh information regularly, collect that information. Because if today you have, for example, 100 NDPs, and tomorrow maybe will be 50, just 50, but you will leave in your proposal 100, and then, because it's easy to check such data, and then you are in trouble because you provide not correct data. So the point is, be ready, and if you understand that this data can be changed, you should put date for what is the data, and then continue that could be changed. You know, not to try to make things, how to say, more tragic as they are, but to give just simply super correct information, super correct.
Yes, that's
So
true. About need assessment, even donors do that. I can tell you that we did, you know, even if we support a civil society project, and we had usually a multi-million project, but we did needs assessment, and then we hire experts, but also me in this case, for example, we was civil society, and we were working together with experts to get information about the situation in the field before you design the project, so that it answers the needs, not your ideas only, but to be realistic. Of course, for NGO who applies, it's you can use public data, and that can be also enough sometimes.
So we wish you good luck, Ivana, to be successful in Poland. And if I can add something, I understand that you are from Scout organization, yes. And so I would suggest you to find some how to say, some more neutral name, for example, for not for organization, but for maybe for project, to find something which can join, which could be, how to say, more friendly for other people, let's say, not just only for Ukrainians and to Ukrainians, but that's.
I understand. I just will add. It's yes. It's just this phrase is just for one project. Yes, that was wrote and why we are working in this project now. Yes, we understand that we need more, and we need this social cohesion here in Poland. So that, yes, but we also heard this phrase that it's not very popular phrase in Poland because it is associated with Poland from Polish, just, and it has not very good association here in Poland. Yeah, but thank you for this remark.
Concept note is, let's say, next level in the presentation of organization or in the preparation of the project. I don't know if you have such experiences to first to prepare concept note, present it to the donors, and then prepare project proposal. It doesn't happen every day with call for application, but when you have some partnerships, and if your organization will be big enough to have partnership relation with some donor, meaning to have direct communication, then they might ask you to prepare a concept note. It really depends on the technology, let's say, of the donors, but this is something that you should know. This is part of the fundraising process and the preparation of the of the project proposal. This is short document between two, depends on the donor. They have, some donors have a regular practice in Macedonia. EU practices it even for call for applications. It's like a two steps selection of the project proposals. So first is like a concept note, which is not so short as I stated here in the paper, but it is still concept which can be approved, but it doesn't mean that you will get the project. So, but in any case, it is very important document that, and this is what we talked before this, that you need to learn to say more with less words, especially in the today's world where when we all are, let's say, under attack of information, so to say, under attack of information, and people need to understand what you want to say with few words, less words than to write, let's say, a concept note of 20 pages and project proposal with 50 pages. Because, yeah, in my experience, I have had such even assessment reports, needs assessment, as was mentioned before. I had once a report, evaluation report of 90 pages. And then I asked to reduce, it was like 70, and then in the end, I think we agreed with 30 pages, something like that. It was a very good report, by the way, but you know, you must be rational with wording, and concept notes are very important document. And I don't know if any of you have written concept note and succeeded or failed. Is there somebody who had such experience? And let's see what worked and what didn't work. Classical project proposal. What do you need to know? Needs assessment. Needs assessment is you can do it in different ways. You can do it in if you are, let's say, a big organization, you have people. Yes, you can organize yourself to have a real assessment, but that means that you need to have some financial resources. Without financial resources, you will not be able to do this assessment. But still, you can do assessment using publicly available information, data, which you can put in that proposal. If you have that, I can tell you that it makes a really big difference. Because if you just describe the situation, I don't know, let's say the colleague before mentioned IDPs in Ukraine, for example. If you say there are lots of IDPs, it's one thing, but if you have some figure about how many IDPs are in the country, then it's a different story. Because based on that figure, which you will provide from some information, then you can design the project proposal. You can design the activities which will take place in the implementation part. Because you can say that we will help I don't know how many people. If you don't have figures, then it will be not convincing for the donors. I don't know if maybe I'm saying things that you already know, but if therefore I would like that you ask questions which are more important for you. Otherwise, I will go with this points that I prepared based on my work and my experience with applications. So, cross-cutting issues. You may think it's not important, but cross-cutting issues like gender or religion or ethnicities or marginalized communities, people with disabilities, you know, these so-called cross-cutting issues, which are not direct objective of the project, but they are part of the implementation, part of the action that you will propose. And these are very important. You can have a project on environment, or you can have project on a water supply, but you need to have gender component. I remember one example from Africa that there was a project how to provide water for one village, because women from the village, they had to travel every day to some water well and bring water at home, etc., etc. But after some time, somebody did the project, and then there was water in every house. And what happened? Some study showed that the woman from that village, after this water was brought at home, they lost social connection. Why? Because when they were going to get water to some part of the village, they could meet other women and talk. You know, they could have some social. We are talking about undeveloped countries, so you have to take into consideration the context. And then the project organization, the donor, in fact, realized that they should have thought about this component. That even if you do something good, sometimes the result can have some counter effects. So for every action, you have to also think about what is the change. Yeah, this is that do no harm. Maybe it sounds like a very strong statement, but in fact, it is important to take care. And when you do some action in any of your countries, you have to think what is the effect for the other communities. If you want to support one community or solve one problem, there is always possibility that you will create some new problem. And therefore, it is important to think about these issues that are not visible at the first, but they come as a result of your action, even if you don't intend. I mentioned already that the budget is very important in terms of efficiency. Efficiency and the budget are directly linked, of course. And if you want to be convincing with your project proposal, you also need to care about the budgeting. And budgeting means that you need to make lots of work. And I can tell you now, if somebody would like to ask questions, I will tell you that very often donors can make decisions based on the discrepancies between the project activity and the budget. You know, you can calculate some activity, maybe not very carefully, and then the donors, because usually in the commissions there are people who look different angles of the project proposal, and if there is some problem with the budget or some discrepancy between the real cost and the budgeted cost, you can lose the project even the rest is good. So these things are very important to to look at. Yeah, I already described the efficiency, effectiveness. You need to it's not so easy, you know, because donor can ask you what is the effectiveness of your, if you work for civil society, for example, or human rights, and you need to describe the budget which is invested for I don't know, for some human right or some equality issue or gender mainstream or gender balance. You need to define it through costs, and sometimes this can also define between getting or losing your project, your grant, if you don't define it properly, or if you don't know how to define it. So you should also look at that part. Logical framework, I'm sure that you all know. Logical framework is maybe the most important component, because it describes the whole project and the result of the project, outcomes, outputs, everything is there, the changes that will be achieved, and then you need to put indicators for every objective or for every outcome. You need to find indicators. You need to define baselines, and then to follow the changes during the years. If it's a one-year project, is one thing, but you might have a longer-term project, maybe 2, 3, 4 years, depends. And then you must learn how to monitor and to report changes across each point. You know, because you can have 3, 4, 5 outcomes, and each outcome have own indicators. And I can tell you that when I was making reports, sometimes you need to look at the reports from international organizations. You have to look freedom of speech sometimes, and you have to look at Reporters Without Borders, Doctors Without Borders. You have to look Transparency Index, Corruption Index. You know, all these things. You need to collect this information, and you need to learn how to present in the logical framework, and then how to monitor it. I'm talking if you want to become a relevant, really relevant organization. Meaning, if you do these things properly, and this is what I wanted to tell, after some time, you will not need to run after donors, because you will become partner, which means the donors will respect you, they will trust on you, and they say, look, we see that you are doing good work, and then they will certainly support you much easier and much stronger. So all these things are very important to learn and to take into consideration seriously.
In our Zoom chat, I add few links, and last they related to this cross-cutting issue, and please really put attention for that, because donors asking about that. Even one is gender balance violence, and the second is how we call this, protection from sexual exploitation and abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily there are free courses with certificate that really would be good if people who work in the organization just passed, because what it means? It means that you aware that happened, or that could happen, yes, and that people in need, like IDPs, they are in danger, and that level of their danger is usually higher than in normal situation. So maybe it's not a big achievement, but that really, I think now it's a trend and we should be aware of such things. Especially, I don't know what about these EU countries, but in Ukraine for sure that donors push us to be careful about this issue.
Very important. I can tell you that in Macedonia, I'm sure everywhere where UN has offices, if you work for any UN agency, you must pass this test for prevention of sexual abuse,
Yes.
anti-corruption, and other kind of tests, because they are cross-cutting issues. And if you pretend to work for civil society organization, for civil society, you must know much more. You cannot pretend that you care only about one topic and then others are not my problem. Of course, this is progress. This is progress. Civil society is indeed relatively young. This civil society, how we understand today. So these things are very important, and they are more and more requested by different donors, and that can make a difference. Okay, let me just finish this part. Who should write project proposals? Yes, Ivana mentioned that they lack personnel who is able to write good grants, and I know this is problem for many organizations, and this is a really difficult question to answer. From my perspective, if I have to choose between a project proposal who is not written so good, but I can see that this is genuine from people who are working for that organization and who tries to do something, even if it's not perfectly done. And then you have some perfect project proposal, but you know that the organization is not up to that. And then you can see that they hire somebody to write a very good proposal, but in reality they cannot do it as it is written. So if you have capacities to implement as good as the project proposal written, that's fine. Nobody will criticize you if you have some help. But it is really important to be genuine, and to learn like that. Also, if you are a representative of your organization and somebody else wrote the proposal and you were not involved in that, in the end, you might be in the situation to need to present something, and you will maybe not be so good because you don't know the details of how the project proposal was developed, and this can be a problem. But you can engage people. You can organize a so-called planning workshops, strategic workshops, where you invite people from different sectors, partners, stakeholders who are important in one field, and then you can engage them in the brainstorming and in the preparation, designing of the project. That is very useful. That is very appreciated, I would say, from the donor's perspective. But you need to work on the design based on these inputs from outside. Last but not least, consortiums, partnerships. Now, I'm talking from perspective of my region. Few years, let's say 20 years, 30, 20, even 10 years ago, the word consortium partnership was not so much mentioned. And it was logical because you needed to develop civil society organizations. And later, let's say maybe 10 years ago, now we can have partnership because we have already developed organizations who can work together, who can cooperate and give additional value to the project. Then these partnerships can work. And as long as you have a partnership with organizations, be it from your country or from another country, it depends on the, of course, it depends on the donors if they support cross-border projects, or even within your country project. If you create partnerships with different organizations, that will be advantage for you. So this is also my recommendation, to work to build partnerships. I know it's not happening so much because people, many organizations, want to succeed themselves. You know, they don't want to share the success or even the grant, because sometimes it implies that you need to share the same grant. But I think that this is a better way to go in longer term, because you will improve your capacities. You can combine potential from different organizations, and then you can go one level higher in the strengthening your capacities as organization. So this would be about this, let's say, like basic tips about how to prepare project proposal that will be successful. I know that I believe that you know many of these things, but I emphasize some points that I believe will help you a lot. And I hope you took notes. And if you have questions, I will be very happy to answer.
We have one question from Sandra. Sandra, can you ask yourself or I will read? Okay, maybe I will read. In chat there is question. What are some proven methods for successful fundraising campaign? Do you have such scenario?
To make campaign.
Fundraising campaign, yes.
Yeah, I understood the question. You should have, let's say, a group of organizations, not one or two, but should be many. And if the topic of fundraising is humanitarian, let's say, mostly, or if it's for common good of a bigger group of people or community, then it might have success. But if you are individual organization and you would like to fundraise and to make a campaign, if you do it for your organization, I think it would be very difficult, almost impossible. But if you do for some cause, environment, I don't know, humanitarian aid or something like that, then it can work. But it is for, if you ask for individual organization, it's really very difficult. You can do it. You can try. It depends on the topic a lot. It depends on the topic. But if you say that you would like our organization to be stronger, to have office, to do project, then I doubt it can succeed. But if you do it for some cause, socially important, it will be possible. But before we continue, Olga, I wanted to propose something that we usually do in the beginning, but I left it for now because now we are talking about communication. Communication with donors, how to become successful in fundraising, and that implies good communication. So I would really ask everybody, all participants, to present themselves and to say one sentence about their organization, about their work, and if somebody have a question, now would be a good opportunity to have that question, so that we know each other, because I don't see, participants, and I don't hear them, so And I think it would be good to just to say something about your organization, your name, and your organization in one sentence, like a mission statement. Let's say, what is your organization doing, and then we'll continue. Is it okay?
We are I from Ukraine with my colleague and Yulia Kalashnikova. She now here. We work at a non-government organization. We are from Ukraine, and we help people who relocated from dangerous origins. For example, for Donetsk, Kharkiv, and we help take them psychological help, consultation, group or individual help, and we work with their children. We have some specialists who works. For example, I actually work with children and teenagers.
It's very, how should I say, very noble mission to help people in need. IDPs and psychological help is certainly very important. Children also who are suffering in Ukraine, we see it every day. So thank you for your presentation and for your participation. So I will, in the end, I will summarize a little bit, but I just would like to hear about the organizations.
I'm moved from Donetsk region in 2014, 10 years ago, and created organization 5 years ago. In our organization works 6 women who displaced now, 2 years ago.
That must be difficult for you to function like that, I guess.
I'm sorry, I am from home. My children very loud. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Sandra, maybe you can tell a few words about your physical theater, or how to tell it.
Yes. I just want to say thank you for this trainer because it's really useful information for our organization, and I am from the organization Physical Theater Studio, and I also help coordinate Ukrainian organization in this project. Our organization is engaged in educational projects, and we promote the development of Ukrainian theater artists. So yes, and I really want to say thank you for this information because it's really important information for our organization.
I'm very glad. Thank you.
What I see, Sandra wrote one more question. How can groups enhance their fundraising impact with innovative approaches?
Innovative approaches, there are innovative approaches. It depends on the cost. You have this GoFundMe, for example. You have humanitarian events. You can organize different humanitarian events, small events. It really depends a lot. You can organize, if it's for the community, for example, if it's small community, you can organize in one house. You can organize people who can bring something. If you talk about humanitarian aid, or if you talk about art, for example, which is part of the, how shall I say, it's not just art for the art, but it's more to help people to overcome this tragedy which is happening. You can easily do that. But maybe somebody want to say I see somebody switched on camera. Gabriela, do you want to say something or listen? Gabriela Selingerova, I see. Are you trying to say something? Please, if you want.
Gabriela Selinger, it's but okay. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Hello. I'm from Prague. I'm working for Family Shelter, and since the conflict in Ukraine, we are helping Ukrainian mothers with children, and I'm working as a fundraiser. So obviously for 10 years for this organization, and I was trained for many years or so because my position was funded also through or by funds from European Union. So it was very helpful for this organization because I was paid through this fund. And I would confirm your words and experience through many years. We are cooperating now with local companies, with local government. We are organizing festivals at the shelter, and it's what I like about fundraising. It's very creative because it's about always searching for new ways or opportunities. I'm also I have few ambassadors from local community, from local government, from local companies who are connecting me with other people. It's also a very good way how to raise money or to get or connect with right people from your community. And obviously Prague is capital and big city, so there are more opportunities than in smaller places. But I would say that we are quite successful in connecting with other people and with some our campaigns. And obviously in terms of Ukraine, it was generally quite successful for many organizations here, that people were very sensitive and very willingly open to help. So Czechs really raised a lot of money for Ukraine and for refugees, and it was quite impressive for me, and I was very proud of my nation in the time that we really people are very involved in help. So yeah, I thank you for this, for your input, and I agree with many of your words and ideas for sure.
Thank you very much. I wish to congratulate you for what you are doing. This is really, really, very important.
Thank you.
Okay, until we
Look,
wait somebody.
we have one question. Can we? Hello, my name is Natalia Fedorenko. I work for civil organization Opora, and in Poland is an organization that documents information about war crimes. Opora is very, how to say, famous organization in Ukraine. They monitor election, maybe 20 or even more years. So Natalia, as I understood, relocate to Poland, and they continue with very hard job to document this war crime, which is now very, how to say, noble and very
exactly
hard job in Ukraine now.
Hello. I'm Jana. I'm from Poznań in Poland. I'm from organization. Sorry for my English; it's not brilliant. And we provide schools for children and teenagers with special needs. And it is so that I have other question, maybe not exactly about fundraising, but sometimes it's so that we preparing some events, and every our events on weekends when the schools doesn't work, we once a month we are preparing some activities for local community, for local people who live around the school, yeah, to show them what we are doing, what how look like our activity, because sometimes our activity can disturb to the people around, because sometimes we are loud, more like a children, yeah. And we invited people, and via social media, and we put the information in the around, and sometimes we haven't so much people on our activities. For example, on the social media, we have the information that on our event come, for example, 100 people, and on the end is, for example, about 10 to 20% people take part in our activity, and it don't look good for our donors, yeah, because we invited for the representative for this for our donors, private donors too. And we don't know what to do, how to manage with this situation, how to explain, that we did everything good, but
I understand very well. This is a very widespread problem, not only for your NGO. I can tell you it happens here too. Even I organize, for example, sometimes huge events, very important, etc., with my NGO, in my NGO time. And then there is some press conference of some politician, whoever it is, even if it's somebody who is not relevant, but media and attention goes in that direction. And it's difficult to explain. Yes, I understand you, but your nature of your activity is very human. In fact, you work with children with special needs. Now the question is difficult to answer. Honestly, I need to know much more about the situation. But what I can tell you is that if you have let's say target group whom you know, if you know who are these children, if you know the families, then you should create some personal contact with them, to call on the phone and to communicate with them, to explain more details. Because if the invitation is general, even if it's public, like you put this information or you put on Facebook, it is fine, but sometimes you need to have proactive approach in bringing people, because it can be that people are just don't understand the benefits from the project. You need to explain that too. You need to find a way to make it attractive by explaining how important it is for the kids, what kids will get from this activity. That they will get to know other kids, to not feel alone, to not see their disability, for example, as a problem, but to see it is like they are not only one, and that they are accepted by friends and create some circle of people. You have to find some points to convince parents in this case, I guess, if you're working with children.
Yeah, but it is so that parents of our kids, we have no problem with the parents and the people around the families, but sometimes we have a problem with people around the school, with the noises from the school.
They make problem. Why you organize it?
Yeah, and we once a month we organized something very interesting activities. For example, painting and make something interesting, because we want involve the people which live around to life of our school. And we are doing everything for free. It is our time to because
You invite them, yes?
we our school is in close to the old market, yeah, in the between around is a lot of houses, and sometimes, for example, the people around complain for example, for the municipal policy that on the noises from the school and so and so, and we can't how to involve the people who around how to
Convince them. I understand. Yeah, sometimes it's it's difficult for me to give you a concrete solution, but maybe you should change the place or ask support from other NGOs who work with communities in that neighborhood. Maybe they can help. It's difficult to give you a very concrete solution, but you must try other ways. Unfortunately, this happens. But
yeah,
thank you very much.
The donors, yeah, but the donors observe, yeah, that how the school like with arounds, yeah, and they okay.
I know very well. I see it. It's very often it happens like that, but you must try to find some way to avoid that problem.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a very interesting case. I mean, we could discuss much more if it was like this. Online is really difficult to go into details, and we don't have much time anyway. So I wish you good luck in any case. I hope you will find some solution.
Thank you.
If you allow me, I just want to add that maybe would be good to find some ambassador, some popular person in your city to participate, to be face of that event. And maybe people from neighborhood will say, oh, I vote for that politician, or for example, I like that singer, or I like that painter, some public person, and then, oh, maybe I will join that, or that school, maybe they are doing something good for kids, not just shout around.
Exactly, that's a very good proposal. Okay, do we have somebody else? Joanna gave a very interesting example, and this paper which I sent to you, I put one is about meaningful communication. When you're this is different story with kids. I think Olga's proposal is it can be very useful to bring somebody who will attract other people, and the community will not complain. To organize maybe some music event or something like that. That will make people slowly to accept. But in general, communication is very important. Therefore, I wanted to hear from you. This is also that we communicate. I can tell you that in my experience, communication can open many doors if you, let's say, learn, or if you work on that to build some skills of communication, how to present things is very, very important. Now we have many tools. We have social media, for example, is very popular. But again, with social media, because there is a hyper production of information on the social media, you have to learn to attract the attention of the public and the donors as well, because we are talking about fundraising. And you should invest. You should have maybe some professional who understands how to design messages or how to select stories which will be put on the social media. Not to put everything that you do, even if you think it's very good. Donors, the public can be overwhelmed, can be tired of too many information, and they will stop to follow you, to watch what you post if you are posting, because it's like that. So you need to invest in this, to have some person in the office, because now social media is very important. I can tell you also from my experience working for the Swiss Agency for Development, that even we had one person who cared about social media. You might think donors don't need it because donors don't need to attract attention in let's say in reality. But again, it is important to present your work, to show changes that you and your partners, organization who you support, make change. And that is you also promote, I'm talking as a donor organization, you can promote the organization that you support and their cause. If you are NGO, you need it even more, I would say, because you need to make people know what you're doing. And this can be, you can have a story, for example, Joanna, about these events that people complain about kids who have with special needs, and you should somehow touch the humanity of this of the people in the neighborhood, how this rejection affect negatively the kids and the families and so on and so on. So social media can be used. And also there was another question about from Sandra, if I remember correctly, Sandra Nevorek. You work with theater, you can use social media to present insights from your work, video pieces, to show people what you're doing, to show also the donors will see, but it is equally important that your constituency, people who follow you, who support you, who like your work, can see it. So social media is very useful and very important. I put separate topic about the website. Now we don't hear so much about websites because website is somehow old-fashioned. Now people talk only about social media, Facebook, Instagram, X, this Twitter, former Twitter, etc., etc. But in fact, website is still very important. If you have some serious project, you can place their information, you can place their stories, which go much deeper into the explanation of the activities and about the results. You can make even reportage. For example, the story about kids. You can make a long story, or you can invite some media, for example, to come to your event, maybe local or whatever TV station, to see. And I think people will start to feel embarrassed if they will see how important this event is for the kids. But you need to somehow show them, to those who make problem to these gatherings, to show them that this is not a good thing to do, and maybe they will change their mind. But you need to be proactive and to find a way. Maybe organize some interview, I don't know, Yes, and Olga mentioned to invite some celebrities or maybe some ambassador who or some donor representative, etc., etc. About IDPs, Marina, about IDPs, yes, you can use a lot, again, social media, but also a website to show people conditions in which IDPs live, a problem they face, to make stories. To engage media is also important. I don't know how it is in your countries, but in the Balkans, TV is still dominant source of information for people. It's more than half, more than 50% of the information people get from TV. And some even more than 50, it's up to 70%. It depends on the period. If you can engage TV station to make some reportage, some interviews with IDPs, and that will motivate people to become more proactive in supporting. Because, you know, people who have who live in some peaceful parts of the country, because Ukraine is quite big, they might not feel the problem if you don't show them. So this is how to, and donors too. Donors also follow this media when they write about topics that are, let's say, part of the portfolio of these donor organizations. This Prague organization based in Prague about help in Ukraine, that is very, very, I would say, novel initiative. And I really, you know, I worked for media, and my NGO was a media NGO. I should tell that the Search for Common Ground was a media NGO, and we used the TV and the print and the radio for our work to show, to promote issues, to show things, etc., etc. And I think that all these topics that you presented are worth presenting to the wider public. And maybe you can also ask donors, for example, all these examples that I mentioned, you can ask donors to give you some additional grant to make a media presentation of your work and of your activities, not work as organization, but activities that you are doing. IDPs, theater, these activities in Prague, helping to help Ukraine, children with disability, with special needs, etc., etc. I'm sure there are many other cases, and you should try to use these tools not only to do projects, but to show is becoming more and more important. You know, I can tell you that maybe 20, 30 years ago, donors were monitoring very closely. They would come and see because there were few projects. Now we have a lot. And they cannot see everything that we and you are doing, but you have to show what you are doing. And then they will better evaluate, let's say, or value your work. So youth communication tools, yes, social media is very important, but I think you should not leave aside traditional media, and also this all the social media like website. Website, I think, is also for somebody who would like to support your organization, they will look at your website. So website should be updated with long stories, in-depth stories, reportages. You can put researches, documents. It's really very, and other NGOs can use your information if you have some data. For example, I don't know how many IDPs are in one region, or etc., etc. That can be useful, and that puts your organization on a higher scale of visibility. So my recommendation is to use communication tools, not only social media. I'm a little bit older than probably all of you, and maybe you like social media more than I do, but I also use social media. but I really believe that social media are like a strangled. Too much information, too many. There are people, I know people who post on daily basis like 3, 4, 5 things, and then you have I don't know, hundreds of people whom you see, and then what to look first. But traditional media, the website, and other ways of communication should not be forgotten and should be utilized for the benefit of showing that you are doing good things for the community and for donors to understand that their money is used properly, efficiently, and good. I didn't mention one point about how do you know which donor is good address for you. I'm sure that sometimes you have the dilemma. I am also part of the civil society, even though I worked on both sides, so I can judge a little bit from both perspectives, but still, sometimes you don't know if it should apply for this call for applications for this donor. Is there some donor that I don't see? It is really a question, and you should do kind of homework, do a research, read the strategic plans of organization, read their documents on their websites. They usually put them on the websites, and then you can see from the perspective of what you are doing from your organization mission or your let's say main activity, so your profile, let's say profile of your organization, and then you can see which donor organizations are better for you to invest your attention and your work. You can apply everywhere, okay, but my recommendation is to look for donors that are closer to your philosophy. And then I think it will be maybe not in the first application, you will not solve all your financial problems, organization problem, how to keep people. I know these things. You need to think about, you have office, you need to pay utilities, you have people who work, and you also need to live. I know that very well. But therefore, it's important to work in a kind of strategic way, to think ahead, not to jump on the daily basis, but to think strategically, to build some strategy. How do you ensure support from donors? Because unfortunately, without donor support, it's difficult to function. And having said this, I will tell you one more point that in donor organizations discuss very often about, can civil society organization ensure their self-sustainability, financial self-sustainability? And we have done, I mean SDC, because I worked for SDC this last 15 years. And then we have tried such things like how to build capacities for one NGO so that they can generate income and have no dependency on the donors. It can work in very, very small portions, let's say, small slices. Some organizations took this let's say initiative, and they try to become self-sustainable, selling services, providing services for I don't know, for other organizations, some of them for other countries, and then they get lost. They get very little income, and they lose their orientation, because if you want to sell services or knowledge, then you go left and right. Or there's some project here, maybe we have expertise for election, for local governance, for environment, and even some government can invite you to make some needs assessment. You will get some money, but that money will not solve your problems. So unfortunately, NGOs will depend on the donors, or as I said in the beginning, on mecenas. And now you have to, and luckily there are countries, governments, people, individuals who still believe in civil society and support, and you should try to utilize it in the best way. And yeah, communication, build strategy, how to approach donors, make some kind of list. I don't like to use that word list to make list, but to prioritize somehow donors that are closer to your philosophy and to your mission, to the mission of your organization, and get closer with them and communicate with them, invite them in the event, organize events. You can organize events like anniversaries, Independence Day, I don't know what, Human Rights Day, Day of Planet, depends on the mission of your organization, and this is the way how to create some network and some connection with donors, and all what we said before about social media, traditional media, etc., etc.
So, dear participants, I see that there is no question. Oh, Marina, you wanted to ask something, yes? Uh-huh.
No, I only want to say thank you. It was very productive time for us, for our organization, because in this time we find some maybe some donors for our projects, and your tips were very effective for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm very glad if that helps.
If there is no other question or some remarks, I would like to thank very much our trainer, Ibrahim Mehmeti, for your time, for your effort, and for your notes, which we can share with our participants, maybe to read after this training, to read that notes as something written would be better to understand the deep how to say hidden ideas of fundraising, because fundraising, this is not something which we do when we need money. Fundraising, it's part of everyday activity of unfortunately every organization, big or small, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter which one.
Yeah,
So
I would like to say, just to summarize everything in maybe one sentence as an example of how you present your organization. Whatever you do, it is important first to want to do something. You need to wish, whatever you do. Secondly, you need to think how to present it to the donors. And third, how to report about it. So there's a three step: your wish, your skills for communication with donors, and then how to report it. Because reporting is also important to build connection with the people, with the beneficiaries, with the citizens who will support you, and like that you will ensure sustainability of your organization. Of course, it sounds very simple and to simplify it, but in reality, it depends on many things that you have deep in yourself. If you want to do something, and what I see from the titles of your projects, I can conclude that you're doing these things because you feel it, and this is part of your life, and I wish you all good luck. And it was a pleasure for me to have a chance to talk to you. I really wished much more that we had a physical presence, but I hope there will be another opportunity for that.
Okay, thank you, Ibrahim, once more. And I have one small announce for everybody. I already share that link for one call. It's Ukrainian donor proposed call for proposal. That's call is not just for Ukrainian organization. They want, as Ibrahim mentioned, consortium partnership of Ukrainian and organization who work in Europe. And I think that that is a great opportunity for us to unite and to propose some quite good project. So it's Международний фонд відродження, Ukrainians know it, it's Soros Foundation for International Public, and project is strengthening Ukrainian voices for international support of Ukraine. I think that is exactly what our organization are doing and what many organizations are doing to reduce, how to say, Russian propaganda in your countries. So really tomorrow, yes, Agnieszka promised to send us this links that everybody could how to say, to think, but deadline for unfortunately is 19th of March, so we are in quite tense situation. But anyway, I hope that it is good opportunity for us really to find partners through our participants, through our organization, and to start with some joint project.
Definitely, Olga. Yes, and I will send to all of you tomorrow the links to the calls, together with materials that I received from Mr. Mehmeti. He produced quite useful like hints and notes about fundraising. So I will also distribute it to all of you tomorrow. So Olga, would you like to also remind our participants about the next sessions that you are organizing?
Yes, next session we will provide 20th of March, and the topic is burnout. I think it's maybe not very, how to say, positive, but we will try to find some positive how to say, emotion at that training. And also, Agnieszka, I would ask you to share our enquete
survey. Yes, I will.
Yes, yeah, because and I just want to explain one sentence that is not enquete produced by us or by our expert, but that is a universal tool for psychiatrists who use it. That's why please answer. If there is some question what you would like to answer, don't worry about that. And also in that enquete there is contact and name of our expert is Valentin Bilyak. He is real doctor. He is psychiatrist, and he has quite big practice. He worked in medical university, Lviv Medical University. That's why I would like really to encourage you to think how you feel, and maybe you can ask some question to that expert, or because maybe it would be not very how to say, comfortable to ask something private, but I hope that we need sometimes to just to be open and to ask questions, even sensitive for us. So 20th of March, we will see you again.
Okay, goodbye, everybody. Agnieszka, thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you very much.
Good luck to all participants with your fundraising and with your work, and all the best in your life.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
Goodbye.
much.
Bye.
Bye.